Hello everybody, I'm back and now let's review the next lineup of Marvel Phase 3 and to end it before Saturday. Captain America, Civil War, directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, or should I say the Russo brothers. And yeah, here comes a huge cast members, so be ready. Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, Don Cheadle, Jeremy Renner, Chadwick Boseman, Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Daniel Bruet. It doesn't end there. Tom Holland, Paul Rudd, and of course, what's her name? Frank Grillo, Emily Van Camp, and William Hurt. And yeah, that's a lot of people. And because it has pretty much almost half of the Avengers except Thor and Hulk. Let's first start off with the story itself. The story itself starts off with after the events of Age of Ultron. We get to see the Avengers take down Crossbones. Crossbones completely kills himself, turns himself into a bomb who wanted to sell himself a bioweapon, and well, it actually fails and the Avengers actually succeed, but they don't succeed of actually saving people, and actually kills 13 people. To me, it felt dumb, but hey, it cost a lot of lives there. And yeah, Crossbones, it sucks that they killed him off. I would have loved to see more of him in the future, but unfortunately, that's his fate. And Frank Grillo, come on, man, like, it sucks, but what can you do? But anyways, we get to see what happens. We get to see the return of Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, portrayed by William Hurt, a character who has returned from the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie, unlike Edward Norton. Sorry, we get to see him talk to the United Nations that the Avengers has not only saved people, but also has done damage in the process. Like, for example, in the Avengers, Hulk has killed people due to giant rubble falling on top of people. And Captain America Civil War, and Winter Soldier, we get to see part of the ships who were about to kill people fall down, land on top of water, and then the water, it actually drowns people down there, and I think that's what actually happens. And then in Age of Ultron, giant buildings falling on top of people, and yeah, it kills people in the process. Not everybody gets saved though, which sucks. And then also what happens in Nigeria, Scarlet Witch actually trying to get Crossbones, to kill himself somewhere else and just throw him out, but in the process it kills people on top of the building and just kills people in the process. 13 or 14 people, I think. And yeah, that's what actually sets off the United Nations to at least put the Avengers into check, to at least use their powers whenever necessary if they sign the Sokovia Accords. And yeah, the only people who agree is Iron Man, War Machine, Black Widow forcefully, and many of the other members. The only ones who don't want to accept this is Falcon and Captain America, and they don't want to, and they just completely just go a bit AWOL on this, but actually goes wrong from there. Even though what's sad is that Peggy Carter, who has grown old, she has passed away. Captain America pays respects to her, and then after that we get to see more what happens in the story. And yeah, that's what everything keeps going. But we'll first go off with the performances of Captain America and Iron Man. The story gets a plus, by the way. Captain America, Chris Evans, come on, you gotta know what's the answer. Portrays a great Captain America. Robert Downey Jr. portrays a great Iron Man. But in this one, there's a plot twist. Seeing them being divided from their own opinions and how they have to use their powers or use their abilities to save people for a reason, to sign the Sokovia Accords, Iron Man, or be against it and just, do what they can in order to protect the people as much as possible. And yeah, that to me, the storyline between both of them bickering and battering each other to see who's right and who's wrong and what they should do and what's recommended to do was cool, but it's sad for me to watch that happen. But the performances is absolutely cool, and it does get a plus on that one. Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier. Now that he has come to his senses, now he remembers part of his past, who he is, and what he actually used to be. To me, I thought the element was cool, and yeah. But what sucks is that in this one we get to see these secret words back in the 1990s that they say homecoming, train wreck, something, and it kind of like turns them into a complete killing machine and follows orders from Hydra, and yeah, completely unleashes himself to delivering hell. But there is a plot twist that I will get to in the end. But without a doubt, Sebastian Stan as Winter Soldier does a fantastic job. That gets a plus. As for the supporting cast, I'm gonna cheat on this one because, like I said, there's many people here, and including Team Cap and Team Iron Man, so I'm going to have to put this. Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, fantastic. Her choosing between Iron Man and Captain America, it was her toughest position, but she had to choose between both of them because Come on, like they've been with each other since the very beginning of the Avengers, and yeah, since the very beginning, and her being against them, kind of like it was hard for her to choose a side, and to her performance is actually cool. Falcon, him being on Captain America's side and going against the Accords, was his performance was actually fantastic, and yeah, I thought his action scenes were actually really cool. Anthony Mackie does a good job. Don Cheadle's War Machine, him accepting the Accords and pretty much using his seeing the consequences of what could happen. He actually signs the Accords, joins Iron Man's side, and yeah, has to use his abilities and his War Machine for whatever necessary as possible. And yeah, I thought his performance was great. As for Jeremy Renner, we get to see him halfway through the movie. His performance was great, without a doubt. Him bickering at each other him bickering with Iron Man was absolutely cool, especially with the airport scene and him fighting against Vision, even though he didn't have a chance, was cool. But him halfway through the movie was absolutely cool, and him redeeming himself even more since Age of Ultron was absolutely fantastic. And I'm actually looking forward to see what he does next in Avengers: Infinity War, even though he was not shown much in the trailer except in the very first trailer. As for Paul Bettany as Vision, he also does a fantastic job. Him falling in love with Scarlet Witch was absolutely an interesting plot point, even though she's kind of a kid. Well, not really, but anyways, trying to fall in love with Scarlet Witch was a bit okay on the general side, but him, agreeing with Iron Man, to use their powers for whatever necessary to at least keep the people at safety and at bay, and use them whenever necessary for the Accords. And yeah, he does a fantastic job on that. Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, also fantastic job. Her choosing between Iron Man's side and Captain America's side, she had to be divided between that. But then knowing that Iron Man had to keep her safe due to what she has actually done, but she has to let her go so free and join Captain America's side forcefully in order to at least move on to from her mistakes and at least learn from them, but at least use them for good and to prevent mistakes from going on from later on. And yeah, she does a fantastic job. As for Agent 13, or should I say Agent Carter, played by Emily Van Camp, she also does a fantastic job. Her role is a bit minor, but her being a future love interest for Steve Rogers was absolutely cool. I would have loved to see a little bit more of her, but at least we got some hints of her falling in love with Captain America, and that gets a plus. The introduction of Black Panther, wow, I did not expect this. I thought this was going to be a little bit rushed, but no, actually, seeing how Black Panther lost his father to T'Chaka to Winter Soldier, but it's actually someone else. But him being forcefully motivated to take down the men responsible of killing his father was absolutely cool. His performance was great, and man, Black Panther, how the way he looked was absolutely sick, and it was an amazing job by Chadwick Boseman, and that gets a plus. Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I miss you, Andrew Garfield. I really, really do, man, but I had to move on. I was upset that the Amazing Spider-Man franchise has been canceled due to sharing 50-50 between the property of Spider-Man and replacing another actor and Andrew Garfield not reprising his role, which sucks. But Tom Holland redeems himself a lot. Him as Peter Parker and him as Spider-Man, absolutely amazing. I love his jokes. I love his quirkiness. How the way he nerds out against the Avengers was absolutely fantastic. Tom Holland does a fantastic job, and that's why I have the shirt. And I don't know if you can see them. There's Spider-Man on top and right next to Venom. And Venom, yeah, we'll see him soon enough in his solo movie, which is half and half of Sony and Marvel. But I don't know if it's going to be part of the MCU, but I'm looking forward to it. That gets a plus. The action sequences. Love the airport scenes. I love the fighting scenes from the beginning of the movie and even the ending of the movie, which was actually a cool plot twist. I did love the action sequences, especially with the chase sequences between Black Panther chasing off against Bucky Barnes and also the airport scene. That to me was a show stealer to me, in my opinion. And the very final action sequence of the movie was great. That gets a plus. Here comes the villain right here. Everybody thought he was unnecessary, but if it weren't for him, he is the one reason why the Avengers was divided. Helmut Zemo, played by Daniel Bruel, if I pronounce her name right, does a fantastic job. Him being motivated by the loss of his wife, his son, and his father at Sokovia. Not only does it motivate him, but at least goes the darker routes and tries to find a way to not only to destroy the Avengers, but not only divide the Avengers, but destroy them completely. And yeah, his motivation was absolutely clear. And yeah, I would have loved to see him in his purple mask, but we might get to see that maybe soon in the future because Daniel Bruel says he would love to come back for future projects, but who knows? It's up to Marvel for them to decide for the fate or future of of Helmut Zemo, and to me that gets a plus. Best moments of the movie, I'll repeat myself. Airport scene, the airport fighting scene between the Avengers was absolutely cool, and especially the final fighting sequence was absolutely fantastic. And Spider-Man, my boy Spider-Man, was cool. I miss you, Andrew Garfield, but Tom Holland, you did absolutely awesome, dude, and I love you for it, man. You did good. Is this movie worth watching? Yes, it's absolutely worth watching. And to me, this is actually Avengers 2.5. We get to see what actually happens to the Avengers and how the way they divided themselves from their own opinions and with the Sokovia Accords and with everything has done. And how the Avengers completely just separated, even without Thor and Hulk. Which sucks, but we'll know more of them in a future video. But anyways, guys, when I watched this movie, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I thought it was going to follow a little bit of the comic book, but it doesn't. But I think maybe soon, maybe in Infinity War, we might get some small tidbits of what happens in after Civil War. Like, because you know what happens in the end of Civil War 1. I thought that was going to follow that, but it doesn't. But I think maybe this might affect an Infinity War, so maybe we might get to see that explored. This movie gets a 10 out of 10, and it does get a yes seal of approval, 2 thumbs up, and it's definitely worth watching and worth buying and worth owning. Come on, guys. Next time, we're going to be reviewing Doctor Strange, and yeah, I absolutely am looking forward to reviewing this. So for next time, I'll see you guys on Doctor Strange. Catch you guys next time.